my body isn't the same as everyone else's. I got sick all the time, out of my mind sick. I'm like, I think we should go to the hospital. I don't know what to do. He wrote out a prescription. He goes, this is what you're gonna take. And I looked at him and I said, no, you need to tell me what you're giving me. I need to understand. And my whole body at that point was like, no, we're not doing any of this.
Welcome to the Rock Bottom Podcast, presented by Jigsaw Health, where we share health horror stories that inspire. Today's guest is Dr. Shivani Gupta. As a child, she struggled with chronic illness until she found Ayurveda, a turning point that began her journey back to health and helping others do the same.
Now, before we dive in, just a quick note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. Please always consult a healthcare professional before making any changes to your health routine.
This is the Rock Bottom Podcast.
Well, Dr. Shivani, so good to see you once again. Welcome to the Rock Bottom Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Dr. Shivani, you have a PhD in turmeric. You've written a new wonderful book called The Inflammation Code.
Yes.
And you also run a supplement company. But as you know, the purpose of the Rock Bottom Podcast is for our guests to tell their rock bottom story. And one of the things that we have learned in hosting this is when we get healers on like you, we find that it's usually someone that had to go through the swamp of their own healing journey to then sort of scratch their own itch and discover what it was that their body was trying to tell them. So please tell us, take us to your rock bottom moment. How old were you? When was this? And what the heck happened?
For sure. So I grew up in an immigrant family in Houston, Texas, and my parents were trying to show us that we could live this American dream, American life. And so I grew up kind of like any typical American kid. We'd finish dance or karate or whatever it was, and we'd have our McDonald's and our Taco Bell and all our junk food. And growing up, I quickly realized my body isn't the same as everyone else's. I got sick all the time. I was either car sick, air sick, seasick. Someone would sneeze in my class and I'd get sick. So I kind of had this awareness that for some reason I have a weaker body, an immune system that doesn't work. And by the time I was about 5 years old, we started going to India every year. And every time I'd go to India, I would get left behind. They'd literally be like, that's the sick kid. She stays home. She doesn't see India or travel. She can't go anywhere. We can't do anything with her.
How old were you?
I was between the ages of 5 and 10, always sick.
Oh.
It was
How
tough.
sad. Yeah.
I would just be throwing up all the time. I'd have colds. And in the U.S., when you get sick, you go to the pediatrician. They give you a script for antibiotics.
Of course.
And you just get better. That was like the mode of the 80s. And when I was in India, we wouldn't really pay attention, but every time I'd get sick, they'd give me really strong antibiotics in India. And so by the time I got to high school, regular antibiotics didn't work on me anymore. So I'd get sick every month. I'd catch a cold, something. I'd go down with it. I'd go to my pediatrician again. They'd say, okay, well, at this point, we're just going to give you Augmentin every time because that'll work. So I probably took Augmentin, which is a much stronger antibiotic, every other month through 4 years of high school. And no one had any awareness at that time. Like, hey, why is this kid always sick? What is wrong with her? Well, should we give her really strong antibiotics all the time like it's candy?
Yeah.
No one had an awareness of it. And so by the time I got to college, I was in India again. I was there because we were shopping for a big family wedding. And I remember I got so sick. And my cousin walked into the room and she goes, Auntie, do you realize what's happening to Shivani? She can't figure out if she should be on the toilet or over a bucket. Like, she's so sick, she can't function. And my mom looked at me like, yeah, you're right. She looks worse than usual. Maybe we should take her to the doctor. So they take me to the doctor. His name is Dr. Gupta. I'll never forget. I sit in his office. I'm out of my mind sick. I'm like, I think we should go to the hospital. I don't know what to do. And he goes, no worries. We're just going to give you, he wrote out a prescription. He goes, this is what you're going to take. And my whole body screamed. And I looked at him and I said, no. You need to tell me what you're giving me. I need to understand. And he goes, well, this is your antibiotic, and these 12 are for your symptoms. And my whole body at that point was like, no, cut. We're not doing any of this. I said, could you dumb your antibiotic down a couple notches? You didn't give me a probiotic, and I don't want to touch the side effects of your 12 drugs. And my family got really mad. They're like, you don't speak to a doctor that way. You don't speak to an Indian male doctor that way. And I was like, you know what? Just call me a punk American at this point. I can't sign up for this. We're in the land of yoga and Ayurveda, and I think there's something else here for me. I think there's a different way, and I need to go figure it out. And that was when I really stepped up.
Can I just ask you really quickly, what you said, Ayurveda?
Yes.
Can you explain to the audience what that is?
Absolutely. So I looked at my parents and said, we have to study yoga and Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an ancient system of health, healing, and medicine from India that's over 5,000 years old. And so the ancient texts of Ayurveda outline subspecialties of medicine, outlines surgery. It's a profound system of health and healing. So when you go to India, we have Ayurvedic hospitals that work alongside our allopathic hospitals. We have practitioners who can sit there and work with you on your lifestyle and how to truly heal your body. So it's an entire system of health and healing, and it's an approach to our health.
So wherever you ended up, this doctor that said, I'm going to put you on all these drugs was clearly not practicing Ayurveda.
No, he was an allopathic doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So from that moment on, I actually looked at my parents and I said, this is all not working. I am always sick. Someone has to have a different approach. I keep hearing about integrative medicine and all these modalities. Let's go figure it out. And so we traveled through North, South, East, West India, looking and seeking and visiting all these famous Ayurvedic centers. And I would just sit there at the feet of the gurus. And I was kind of investigating with my Western mind, like, is this science valid? Does this actually work? And I tried everything they do. And if anyone here has ever been to an Ayurveda detox center, it's pretty invasive. Enemas, colonics, these different types of massage that are not really massage. They're rubbing all the toxins out of your body, and castor oil packs and herbs. And it was intense. But at the end of it, I felt like a strong, new, vibrant, healed human with an immune system of steel. And so that's when I decided, wow, this system works. This system's valid. No one who's American would ever let you do all this to them.
Right.
So I'm going to have to go deeper into this wisdom and find all the ways I can go teach it in the West in ways that we will apply to ourselves so we can have vibrant health.
How long were you how long was the journey of going to the Ayurveda centers? How long did it take you to heal?
So I was in college at the time, so it was interesting, right? I'm simultaneously partying in Boston in college, not realizing what that can do to your system, and then I'd also go detox in India. So I would say it probably took a few years because I'd go for winter break or I'd go for summer break. So post-college, I actually had made the decision that the business I will do in life is a social entrepreneurship idea, something around changing the world of Ayurveda. And that's when I went and really spent months there. And I got to sit in the schools and study it more intensely. So I would say Ayurveda in 21 days can turn around your health profoundly. It really can. And then everything you do after that is just going a layer deeper into that healing potential.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So it was a multi-year journey, north, east, southwest, through India. You learned from a number of different practitioners or a number of different. The gringo way that I say it is Ayurvedic. Now I can't even say it at all.
Ayurveda.
Ayurvedic, but
Yes.
the way you say it sounds so much more pretty. and I'm sure correct. Yeah,
Well,
Ayurveda.
I think Ayurveda would be so much more famous if that word was just Aveda or something easy for us in the
Yes.
West to pronounce. I wish it was easier, but
Well,
it is Ayurveda.
maybe it is your part of your mission is to rebrand it for the gringos so that it's easier to ingest. So speaking of ingesting, you I guess in that it almost seems like a seesaw journey where you're going back and forth between East and West. And were you finding that you were healthier in India, sicker in America? Is that sort of what you kept finding over your college years?
That is what I found, and I still find that to be true. Now, if I go and live in Italy, I'm my healthiest life, right? Because the food is better. So it
Hmm.
created a lot of awareness. So yes, whenever I'd go to India, I would feel amazing and vibrant and healthy and detoxed, and I was like, this is the way to live. And then when I'd come back to Boston, where I went to college, or to Houston, I was like, somehow I don't feel as good. And how do I fix that? How do I reconcile it? So when I graduated business school, my goal was actually to open a destination spa where we could build that experience, where we're constantly detoxed, but doing yoga and all that. I didn't end up building that center in this life, but it was my dream to really kind of build blue zone places in every city so we could have that experience every day, because I
Every
think we
city in
deserve.
America is what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
I'm here, so I wanted to build it here where I live.
Right.
And I think we've had places like that, and we're having a moment where longevity clinics are opening everywhere. But I like to bring that awareness that ancient wisdom had so much awareness of us, and the fusion is actually the best solution.
As you were going back and forth between the East and the West, between India and the United States, was there ever sort of, I guess I'm interested in like your thought process to, okay, something is working. I want to bring what is working back to the States. But was there ever a moment where you felt like, is it actually working? Is it maybe like it only works over there? It can't work in America because of X? Like,
You know, I'm an optimist, so I always believe anything is possible. And so when I was in India and I was detoxing and doing everything, my mind was always on, how do I bring this west? How do I pull the golden nuggets? There's a whole treasure chest of gold here. I know most of us in America would do less than half of it. What's the half I get to pull out of this, and how am I going to teach this back home? And so that's why over the years I keep refining. I pulled the Ayurvedic self-care rituals. I was like, okay, that's doable. Let me simplify that. If I can teach everyone that, it'll change our lives. Then I pulled the super spices. I was like, we as Americans, we like superfoods. We want the fast and easy way to get there. If the super spices can get us there, okay, I'll study turmeric and I'll find a way to use those spices in the right way and get that faster result we want. But as I've gone through my own journey, I'm in my mid 40s now, perimenopause, midlife, it's like, okay, well, unfortunately, you need more categories. You can't just take one or two. You kind of need all six. And so, yes, when I was in India and I always felt amazing, I would always think, gosh, I'm going to go home though, and I'm going to get sick again. I don't know what it is. So I've always been in that discovery mode. And I finally realized it's the level of inflammation we have. It's the toxin burden we carry here in the West, just living in the West. It's the level of stress we carry every single day. It's this lack of awareness of gut health being the center of all health. Ayurveda teaches us this circadian lifestyle that's profound. And so my homework, my whole life has been, okay, I learned it, how do I apply it? I learned it, how do I apply it? And then how do I teach it?
Right.
And so it's a fusion. Basically, I constantly fuse my worlds, the East and West.
I'm really curious to know, like, what would be the non-negotiables of those Ayurvedic practices that you brought over to the U.S. or that you carry with you that are kind of like the cornerstone. If you could just give us some tips on that.
and very well done on how you said Ayurvedic.
Thank
Sounds
you.
like you're getting closer. I'm not sure I am yet, but very
Keep working on
nice job, Ash.
Yeah, nice job. I think, I would say my number one that I carry is in Ayurveda, we have a concept called the doshas. And in my book, I renamed it elemental design because I think elemental design might be the way we translate Ayurveda through the entire West. Just like we know there's human design where we understand ourselves better through that lens, elemental design shows us, hey, we're all air, fire, or earth body types. And if you understand your primary type and you build your lifestyle around that, that alone can create huge shifts. So for example, the air body type, we call it Vata. A Vata person is air and ether. They're taller or shorter than most of their demographic. This is someone who is like an endurance athlete. They're always moving like the energy of air. And so that type of body type we support with grounding foods, nourishing foods. We tell them, even though modern life talks all about smoothies and icy cold salads and icy drinks, that's not for you. Let me show you how to balance your system. Or there's the fire type. I'm a fire type. We are passionate, we're leaders, we actually don't know how to stop working. We're so passionate about everything in life. We have strong digestive fires, but pittas tend towards burnout and being inflamed. And so we're meant to stay cool, calm, collected, eating cooling foods. And then the final type is kapha, the earthy body type. They are the sturdy ones. They have that mountain grounded energy. They might have slower metabolisms, so we support them with eating a certain way, bigger intermittent fasts, moving every morning. And so I would say that one cornerstone of Ayurveda is actually the key piece, that when we apply it to ourselves and honor it, then we start to see huge shifts when it comes to our health. And then once you get that foundational piece, then I can start to layer on circadian lifestyle, gut health, self-care, detox, all those other ideas. And so that one is the actually cornerstone of the whole book that I wrote is let's apply this. And then once you know yourself better, you can navigate everything better.
How do you find out which dosha you are? How did you find out which dosha, which body type you were?
So I actually went to these Ayurvedic centers, and these Ayurvedic doctors actually know how to do pulse diagnosis. So when you go to those classic doctors in person, they can actually read your pulse and tell you. And so that was actually my first test. I wanted to know, do they know what they're talking about? And every center I went to, they were like, you are a pitta. And I was like, okay. And it all correlated across all the centers. And I was like, okay, so they do know, they all agree on at least that.
Yeah.
I have a quiz on my website at drshivani.com. And when people go on there, they take the quiz and then they email me back sometimes and they're like, how did you know that about me? How did
I
you
can't
know
wait to take this
everything?
quiz.
And so it's so fun. I always laugh when I get that response. I'm like, I know, it's weird. Ayurveda's 5,000 years old. It's had time to prove all of its ideas over and over again across billions of lives. So
Yeah, it's totally crazy that literally this is like the first I'm hearing of it at all. I mean, am I living under a rock, or is this just like one of the big problems with like the Western civilization, and like we're just not educated or privy to like these amazing healing modalities and ways of treating the body and medicine that like same with Chinese medicine. There's just so much wisdom there that just I feel like we don't even get to partake in because we don't even know about it.
yeah, I mean, it's true. I grew up in the West, right? So every time I got sick, we'd go to the pediatrician. That was your only expert on your health. And I think there was a big movement around kind of running out a lot of these types of integrative practitioners. Naturopaths are kind of rare. Certain states really respect them and honor them and give them the power that they should have. I think Arizona is one of those states where a naturopath can prescribe and can do a lot. But certain states, like in Florida, where I live, they're not even allowed to practice. So there's a lot of variability there, but I do think of it as all the integrative modalities have such deep wisdom. Homeopathic, naturopathic, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic, chiropractic. I mean, do so much. And so usually it takes us having a health crisis, going to Western medicine. I love Western medicine, but sometimes they can't solve all chronic diseases that we have. We need the lifestyle piece. So at that point, a lot of people turn and end up discovering integrative medicine. And typically, Ayurveda is the last door that's ever found.
Right.
And so my job in my lifetime is to bring it more towards the front of the line because we actually teach that lifestyle piece that would have prevented all this suffering in the first place. And so that's where I'm so passionate about it, is if we could understand the lifestyle piece, we didn't have to suffer at that level.
So you find out what your dosha is.
Yeah.
Are you earth, fire? Wait, what is it? Earth, fire, or air?
Right.
Exactly.
Maybe not in that order, but the three.
Yes.
Tell me more about the lifestyle piece.
Okay. So when it comes to your constitution, whether you're Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, one of those three, we customize the lifestyle to that. And so the lifestyle pillars would be living according to your circadian clock. Nowadays in the biohacking world, it's all talking about circadian, which is so nice. Ayurveda came up with the circadian clock and said we must live in rhythm with nature. We must rise with the sun. We must set with the sun. But because Ayurveda came up with it, we actually have a lot more detail around different times of day and what we're meant to do. And so you're meant to have your most productive morning. 10 to 2 on the clock, we call the Pitta time of day, when sun is highest in the sky. And so we're also meant to eat our biggest meal at lunchtime. And that's our time to eat our harder to digest foods. So if you're going to eat raw foods or superfoods, you'll absorb them better during that lunchtime window. We teach that 6 to 10 p.m., we're meant to eat our dinner early on, an easy to digest dinner, and then really rest and relax into the evening. Oftentimes in modern society, because we have light and all the things, we are just on and working and going until bedtime. But we're meant to actually unwind and relax into bedtime. And then 10 to 2 on that circadian clock again, Pitta time of day. So at night, you're meant to sleep 10 to 2 to clean and clear inflammation. But a lot of people tell me they're night owls. They're like, I stay up, it's great, I get so much done, I'm so creative. That's because that fire could be used for mental fire to do work, or it could be used for healing and repair. And so I'm an entrepreneur. I have people pinging me and my team, and everyone knows by 10 to stop messaging Shivani. She needs her sleep. If we're gonna get a productive Shivani the next day, she wants to honor her circadian clock. And so by 10, I really cut off all tech, all everything, to get that ideal sleep and clear inflammation, because I teach about inflammation. I want us to win at that. So that's a big piece, is circadian clock from the Ayurveda lifestyle perspective.
And it is different based on your dosha, your body
Correct.
type.
Exactly. Exactly.
Fascinating.
We're meant to navigate our day differently. So for example, I am a fire type. I will be so productive 10 to 2. And then there's like this shift that happens. And we all experience 2 to 6 p.m. as what we call Vata time of day. So that time of day in the afternoon, you're going to have a little bit more variability. Your attention is going to be a little more fractured all over the place, kind of like a wind. And so we're meant to just get our like basic list of things to do then. We're not as productive in those time windows. So you should move your focused work into your like 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. slot, and leave that for errands or quick things you have to get done. You can eat something grounding and nourishing during that time as your afternoon snack to kind of weigh you down and help you think more clearly. So we have a lot of customization we do based on the time of day. And then when you have the awareness of your elemental design, your constitution, you can then leverage time of day. So as an entrepreneur, I know how to leverage my energy based on my time of day as well.
How do you feel about afternoon lattes?
I think it's a great idea.
Good. I'm so glad you said that.
That answer is correct. Ding.
Ding.
Well, don't you guys have a cafe of all the good beverages? So
Yes.
really, it's latte all day in your world.
As a matter of fact, I have my Firefly latte right here.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing we do that's a disservice to ourselves is we don't pause for something that I teach called tea time is me time. And so out of the self-care rituals that I teach, my favorite one that I created is pausing multiple times a day and enjoying and savoring a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Latte means you added some great healthy fat in there, hopefully some whole milk or some great nut milk that's whole fat. That's going to really soothe our system, ground us, and support us.
And I'm guessing we put our phones down during these times.
We do. And so when I teach tea time is me time, I teach please pause, put your phone down, go inward, take a few minutes, and ask yourself some powerful questions. How am I doing today? What do I need to change for today to be better? What do I need to change for this week to be better? And give space to train your intuition to give you powerful answers. So mine will come back to me and say, you didn't plan for dinner today. You're not going to eat at this schedule. You need to say no to that person. Why did you say yes? Say no. And so I really take that time, and we know that sipping a hot beverage is vagal nerve toning. So it's going to drop
I did not
us.
know that.
Yeah. So just like humming, they say gargling, chanting is good for us. Even drinking a warm beverage is going to soothe the nervous system, drop us into our parasympathetic nervous system, which we need for rest, digest, and repair. And then we're going to be healthier. So I think of tea time as me time, my 100% tea addiction, as the best thing that I do for myself. And I drink tea 5 or 6 times a day.
Yes. And I think the main takeaway there is the tea time is not scroll time.
No.
Patrick and I will sometimes, when we have our afternoon lattes, say, okay, we're going to do phones down, right? And like we'll set like a timer. And it's very difficult. We are so conditioned to grab
Gosh,
the
we are.
phone. We're so addicted to it. Did someone text me? Did someone email me? It's like you literally, nothing bad is going to happen if you just give yourself 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I agree. For
And
eating,
it's fun to challenge that.
exactly. So I think we should be setting 5-minute timers or 10-minute timers for our meal times as well to get off the phone because we're
Hmm.
not even seeing, understanding, or absorbing what we're eating nowadays because we're completely distracted from what we're doing. That's why after a meal, sometimes I'll be like, why am I still hungry? Why do I want something salty, crunchy, or something sweet? Oh, I had no awareness of what I
Right.
just did. So really pausing for the meal and then definitely for our coffee tea time, just like
Mhm.
take that break. And in your case, get in community because you're at
Yes,
your cafe.
absolutely.
What is your favorite kind of tea?
Oh, I'm obsessed with green jasmine tea. I have 4 cups a day. I even invented a tea called menopause support tea. So it has all
Mm.
the adaptogens that are good for us in perimenopause. So I drink that one at least a couple of times. But green jasmine tea is a personal obsession.
Is the tea that you invented, is that a product that you guys sell?
Yeah, yeah. I created 4 teas in my line. First,
Yeah.
I wanted to solve for sleep because I was like, if we don't sleep well, we'll never win at inflammation.
Yep.
And I love the teas that are out on the market. I mean, I carry some from Sprouts, like the lavender sleep tea if I'm traveling and things like that. But I wanted to take the Ayurvedic herbs because we have ashwagandha, we have Brahmi, we have cardamom. I mean, we have powerhouse super spices that are so effective. And to put them in tea form kind of leaves them in their open, full plant form. So,
Mhm.
yes, I have a couple of teas in my line.
Do you have loose leaf tea or are they in the sachets?
They are loose leaf
Sachets?
tea. So, it
Sachets?
is part of the ritual to pause and make the tea and steep the tea as well.
Mm.
These are all on your website, fusionaryformulas.com.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
they're all there.
And we're gonna put links in the show notes to fusionaryformulas.com, also drshivani.com that you referenced that has the quiz. I want to talk about inflammation. You, the author of The Inflammation Code, out now, available on Amazon. That's where I got my copy. I feel like inflammation is one of those words that gets thrown around a lot. But what does it actually feel like? And maybe tie this back to the story of you growing up and your rock bottom moments.
For sure. So, some of the symptoms of inflammation that are pretty common nowadays that we feel as we're aging are symptoms like joint pain, aches and pains, frequent headaches, fatigue, digestion being off. And a lot of times when I hang out with people, my friends, they're like, I feel, and they'll say those things. And then they'll say, I guess this is just aging. And I
Mm.
always tell them when you hear that message in your mind of, I guess this is just aging, pause and understand that this is actually inflammaging. It's inflammation giving you these symptoms that you think are aging. But if you just address the inflammation, you can reverse out of this. And so when that happens to me, I always pause and think, you are not aging. Aging is optional. What did you change in the last week? And it's usually travel, poor sleep. Maybe I went to an event and I had a glass or two of wine. And maybe I shifted how I was eating that given week. And all of a sudden, inflammation crops up. And here I'm experiencing it as aging. And so going back to my story, I think what I misunderstood in my teens and later years was I was going to this like really intense high school where all my friends got into Harvard, Yale, Oxford. So I was put into a really competitive environment where I was stressed 24/7. Back in the 80s for weight loss, we had this special practice called not eating food. And so I was just this like really under-resourced kid who was studying 24/7, sacrificing sleep, not eating well. I don't know what I was eating, but it was inflammatory
Probably
and not
something
enough.
packaged
Yeah,
and
I think I was
convenient.
surviving on like crackers and orange juice. I was
Yeah.
being ridiculous in a house that was cooking fresh Indian food every day, like just not really understanding. And thus I was chronically sick, and thus I was being given antibiotics all the time. And so now looking back, I look at my own children and I'm like, you just need to be happy. I don't care what your grades are. Feel free not to go to an Ivy League. I don't care. Like happiness and health and gut health over the long run is the goal. There's
Yes.
no
Yeah.
other goal. And so I just wish I had known those lessons because I wouldn't have had to go on this long journey. But I'm so glad I did discover Ayurveda because I'm definitely meant to teach that wisdom to the world.
I mean, look
But
how many
you're
people
right.
you're helping through that, the pain of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our rock bottom journey, like you started with, is so disastrously painful for us that we can't imagine anyone else suffering with it. And then I also come from a family history where when I was growing up and going to India, every grandparent would pass away of chronic metabolic disease. So it was quadruple bypass, stroke, leg amputation, Parkinson's, heart attack. And I always thought, what is that? Like, how come my family is struggling at that level? And how am I going to show people we can win and reverse out of these things? And so that became a big element of why I teach what I teach is I know chronic disease is reversible. It just takes a very specific set of choices to win.
So, how popular is Ayurveda in India? And I
In
guess
India.
it sounds like your Indian family was passing away from the type of chronic diseases that we have here in America.
Yeah, good point. So it's interesting. I'm 45 and I've gone to India 40 years of my life. India has changed dramatically. So after India was colonized by the British, certain things changed. And those things were our education system. The whole education system is fantastic in India. It's in English now, so there's a universal language. But also, Western allopathic medicine is the trusted system. So it's almost like that got implanted and trusted as like new, modern, the thing to do. And Ayurveda got shoved to the wayside. And so Ayurveda has slowly come back. I would say pandemic changed things significantly. Because for the
Really?
first time in pandemic, Western medicine didn't have all the solutions for us. It didn't save us magically. Western medicine was scrambling to find solutions for this virus.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, everyone was like, well, the ancient stuff was working. Maybe we should go back to it. So in India, everyone was like, turmeric, ginger, like all the herbs came back and new formulations came out where everyone was like, that stuff was working. Let's go back to that. And so now you have both. And it's interesting because when I go to India, you have both hospitals. You'll sometimes have a Western hospital next to an Ayurvedic hospital. Sometimes they fuse. But we are living in this modern day society moment where our Western kind of, maybe the whole world is not Western, our modern mind wants modern science to prove something to be true for us to believe it. And so even the people around me sometimes are like, that's so great that you think turmeric does all that. And I'm like, I don't think it. I did a PhD on it. The science is there. And it's my life dream to keep funding that science to prove across every subspecialty what turmeric can do for us. But when the British Medical Journal is publishing these studies, like, this is proven now. It's not unproven. So it's been interesting. You're right. In India, we now manifest all the same diseases as the West. And part of that's because we in the West have exported our lifestyle across the world. I grew up and saw McDonald's come into India where it hadn't been there before. MTV came into India. It wasn't there before. So we've definitely exported our life practices. And I think the whole world is kind of calibrating with what's good, what's not. What are we keeping? What are we not keeping?
Can we talk about turmeric real quick? Do you say
Can we talk
turmeric?
about it real quick?
Well, I
she has a PhD in it, Ashley.
Exactly.
She would love nothing more.
I think if the audience is anything like me, we're wondering, okay, we've heard turmeric. It's turmeric, right?
Or turmeric.
Or turmeric.
So there's lots of ways to say it, and it's funny because a lot of people misspell it, and I noticed that when people email me. So turmeric is how I say it, and then I
Turmeric.
decided if you can't beat them, join them. And so because everyone in the West or everyone in the United States calls it turmeric, I just say turmeric now, so that when I
Yeah.
say it, people like get it automatically what I am talking about. Because when I said turmeric before, they had to think about it. They're like,
Like,
what
how
is
many
she
R's
talking
is
about?
in this word?
Too many.
Yeah. And so most people spell turmeric without that T-U-R, that first R. They forget. They spell it like turmeric, which is funny. Honestly, it's a great spice. And to me, it does everything. So I don't even care how people want to say it or spell it. I just want them to take it. I just want them to use it because to me, it's been this lifesaver. My story was I have no immune system and I don't know what to do. And why am I this chronic autoimmune patient? It took me decades to learn that it was leaky gut. due to high antibiotic use causing gut dysbiosis, and that I would forever then have to be in a repair and love mode around my gut. And turmeric is antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. It's a very strong anti-inflammatory. It affects those master switches of inflammation, TNF alpha, NF kappa B, and over 30 different inflammatory pathways. It's also so good for our gut. So it goes in there and clears out the bad bacteria, but leaves the good in place. It's good for our gut lining. It's this ultimate janitor. It goes in the system and clears out zombie cells. It clears out senescent cells, malignant cells, cells that are meant to die, cell apoptosis. It's so good for longevity. So it impacts sirtuins and telomeres and all the things we want in longevity. It creates neurogenesis, mitogenesis, which is rare because when we talk about brain health, we know right now in the neurocognitive space, we really want solutions. And turmeric has a role there because it can cross the blood-brain barrier and support us with tau tangles, amyloid plaques. So I am really passionate about turmeric. I've done hour-long lectures on turmeric. That's a really highlight level of it. But what most people don't understand is there is the raw form of turmeric, the plant. It's a sister plant to ginger, so it looks a lot like ginger. And you can juice it. You can take juice shots and put it in your shakes. You can also dry it into the spice, which most of us use, and people sprinkle it on their chicken. If you're going to use turmeric, please always add black pepper or a healthy fat to increase the absorption. And then we have the curcuminoids, which are the extract. And that's the world I like to play in because those are so potent at reducing inflammation. And so once I learned that, everyone asked me, well, whose turmeric should I take? And because I'd always say, you can take turmeric for that. And I couldn't find one that I trusted. And you guys know this well. The supplement world is pretty insane around lack of transparency, lack of potency, all those things. And so I ended up creating my own just to prove to all of Western medicine that if we have a problem and we're inflamed, they can say, you can take turmeric for that, and they can trust it. So that's been my body of research for the last 11 years, is really putting turmeric in the hands of practitioners and then in the hands of everyone who needs it.
So what's the difference between turmeric and curcumin then?
So out of the entire turmeric plant, 3 to 5% of it is the extract, the curcuminoids, and we know that those curcuminoids are the most effective at reducing inflammation.
Okay, so there are supplements out there that are curcumin supplement, and then there are turmeric supplements. And so does your product contain both, or is it mostly the curcuminoids?
I actually did both. So I worked in a lab when I was 16. It was at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, because I'm from Houston. And the researcher had discovered that black pepper increases the absorption of turmeric by 2,000%. And so when I was doing my dissertation, I went back to him and I said, I never would have imagined that 16-year-old me, who was just here looking for an internship, would later build her life's work around this same spice. But I'm really obsessed with, like, how do we keep proving through science what works here? And so he was the one who said, if you ever choose to extract curcumin, please do 2 things for me. 1, don't break off a molecule of it, patent it, and call it better. Mother Nature knows best. And secondly, when you take an extract, you're pulling something really strong out, but you have to honor that the whole plant also had so much benefit, and there's a synergistic effect to the 2 being together. And so I took his advice before I built my formulas, and I did both. So I have whole plant with extract. And then what I did was I went to India. I'm from India. So I went and found the most potent source of curcuminoids at a proportion that mimics Mother Nature. And that was my theory 11 years ago, was if I find the best stuff on earth and I know who built it and I meet the farmers, can we build something different? And so that's the feedback I get from people is, I take your turmeric and I feel it. And I take all these others that I was buying at drugstores and Amazon, and I didn't feel anything. I was just taking my turmeric.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want people to experience, is that this plant has pretty miraculous level solutions. And as a society, we're so inflamed. We need to be supporting ourselves and reducing that inflammation every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mentioned the NFKB pathway, and you talk about it in your book, The Inflammation Code. Can you explain that? It's like the master switch of inflammation. Can you explain that to me like I'm a 10-year-old?
Sure. So when it comes to inflammation, it's so fascinating to me because in the clinical studies that you read, they show all these diagrams, and sometimes I wish I had like a whiteboard next to me and I could draw all of them. But we have so many different pathways of inflammation that can be impacted. So for example, COX-2 is a pathway. And when you take NSAIDs, we know that NSAIDs are going to impact that COX-2 pathway, and that's how we get out of pain when we take an NSAID off the drugstore shelf. So a lot of times we're buying a solution that hits one pathway. But when it comes to those master switch pathways, those impact every single downstream pathway along the way. And so taking the hotel example, TNF alpha, NF kappa B, these are your master hotel keys. So every single door will open from them versus those one or two single pathways along the way that we can impact with an NSAID or an omega-3. And so I think that's why there's so much study happening globally, because it's kind of unfathomable that this one simple plant has such a high level impact on our system. And the fact that it can impact those high level pathways and then affect downstream is so powerful. So in people, how I see this is people will come to me and say, I have hip pain, I have back pain, this is what I'm doing, can turmeric help me? And I'll say, well, each of us is different, I can't make a promise, but take it and try it. And they'll say, okay, well, I took your 2 turmeric formulas and now I have no more hip pain or back pain. You took me from like an 8 to a 2. But then I kept taking it and my allergies, my gingivitis, like these weird things got solved. Is that possible with turmeric? I'm like, yes. Turmeric, if you heal inflammation at a systemic level, it'll do all sorts of things in the system. And they're like, okay, well, I don't have allergies. I don't have that anymore. But then I took it and now I don't have aches and pains when I wake up. Like I just wake up and feel good. I'm like, that's great. So it's like the big, medium, small is how I look at it. It's going to go after the big first. It's a plant. It knows where to go in the body and what to do. Then it'll hit you on the mid-level. It'll deal with those other small things that were a nuisance to you. And then it'll go even more subtle. And so that's where affecting a master switch and then continuing to go down the pipeline can really be useful.
How long do you think it takes most people to start noticing a difference once they start taking like your formulas?
So some people, based on their body type, so for example, I'll find a Vata girl, she's a yogi, half her life is on green juice, she's got incredible digestion. That type will be like next day, whoa, I felt it. Or within 3 days, they're like, this is profound. And you're like, okay, that was a fast response. I would say typically 10 to 14 days because we all have different ranges of digestion, of absorption, different levels of inflammation going on. And so most people tell me within 10 to 14 days, they're starting to feel way better. And they're trying to make sure, like, is it the turmeric? Is it my diet? Is it my exercise? What is it that did it? And a lot of people, what they do, they take it for a month and then they'll come off it for a week. And that's when they call me and they're like, whoa. Now I know what it was doing for me. I'm like, okay, whatever it takes for you to know.
The classic challenge, de-challenge, re-challenge, where you give yourself something, notice something, de-challenge, take yourself off of it, notice that something else changed because you're not on the thing, and then re-challenge, you take that thing again and see the same effect. In science, I remember reading years ago that that's actually one of the most powerful forms of proof. Challenge, de-challenge, and re-challenge, even potentially more so than like a randomized clinical trial that has, placebo controlled and all that kind of stuff, because it's, and I guess the thing that I like it is it's speaking to you. It's your body's reacting to that. And I think actually this is a really good segue to your podcast. You have a podcast called The Inflammation Code, and the About page has a sentence that I love. You say, your body isn't broken, it's out of balance, and it's been trying to tell you something. How did you get the inspiration for those words?
You know, I myself have experienced many times in my life where I look at my body and say, why is this happening? Why is my body broken? Why do I get a weak link body? What's happening here? And what I've learned again and again is if we just dig a layer deeper and really tune into ourselves, we can start to see our own patterns. Like I said, I'm a fire type. I have a certain pattern. I want to work and work and build and build. and then I crash. I literally hit a wall. It's usually an annual problem with me. And then I have to recalibrate. And I'm like, okay, you got through your book launch. Can you please take a few weeks and take care of self? And so that message is really for all of us who think, okay, my body's broken. Where am I not listening? And so what I have learned is my body is sending me messages. It's just a matter of listening. And that's what I teach my clients is every message from your body is a signal. And in every moment, you can calibrate to it. So for example, let's say I've done 5 podcasts in a day. It happens sometimes. And a headache is brewing. What does that mean? Hydration, electrolytes. Go sit in a dark room and take a 5-10 minute break. Don't stare at screens all day. Let's say I wake up and my body says, I don't want to lift today. I cannot. Communicate, understand what is happening in the body that it's asking or asking for something different, and adjust to what the body needs. A lot of times in modern day life, we are forcing, we are pushing, we are in hustle mode. We want to hustle and grind 24/7, but the body is sending messages. And if we don't listen to them, in the end, that ends up like my family always ends up. Crazy metabolic disease, crazy inflammatory diseases, and ending up in the doctor's office as if that's your full-time job for the last quarter of your life.
Yeah.
And so that's my dream, is to really show everyone we can listen much sooner and not end up in that place.
Amen to that.
And maybe it just starts with a little tea time or latte time without your phone for 10 minutes. Start small, right?
Exactly. It can be that easy. The body wants to give you the answers. We're just not giving it the space so that we even hear it. So that's where latte time and tea time as me time really matter, is it's the first step to listening to your own intuition and your own message from your own body.
When you have clients come to you, what would you say is some of the most common patterns that you see?
So number one is they don't know their elemental design, and thus they're living directly against it. So for example, a Vata air type who survives on green juice and salad and raw things all day is creating so much imbalance in their lives because they just don't know themselves. So I would say most women who find me say, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like myself in my body. I'm tired. I'm in perimenopause and menopause. I have this weight gain and I can't win against it. Something's wrong. I see a lot of women with fertility issues because we're living through a moment where fertility is harder for many. And then I have people come with big sleep problems. And sleep is an easy one to solve for. And then finally, I would say joint pain, because I am the queen of inflammation to people. They call me the turmeric girl. And so they're always like, I have pain, let me call Shivani. And so that's another thing. And then finally, I like being a guinea pig. I like trying everything. I go to every biohacking longevity conference, any detox center I can find in India. I'm like, hit me up, give it all to me. So I usually know what's the best tool for any given problem. So people will call me with really off-the-wall problems. And I'll say, you know, my intuition says IV vitamins for that one. Or my intuition says this. So I like to play with how good is my intuition for the really off-the-wall issue as well and see if I'm right.
Yeah. So for someone in the audience who's listening right now and maybe feeling stuck with chronic fatigue or the sleep problem, what's the very first thing that you would have them do?
Step one, know your elemental design, because your body type is your physical, mental, emotional body type. And so to know it and calibrate to it first is the first key. And then second is always circadian and sleep. Like, where are we there? And then third, I go on to gut health and everything else.
So drshivani.com, drshivani.com for the dosha quiz to learn your body type if you're air, fire, or earth. I'm actually really excited to know. I always feel like anytime someone talks about like personality type, I feel myself, I've always been like a chameleon. I'm all 4 of those, or all 6 of those, or all 3 of those. So I'm going to be really excited to see what my body type is. I assume the quiz is pretty easy to do.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, super easy.
Okay. So the questions that we like to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the most, when you were at your rock bottom moments, what was your number back then when you were
Like on a daily
an
basis?
inflamed kid?
I would say between 1 and 2. I was miserable. I was always left behind. I've read thousands of books because I was just left in hotel rooms and left behind my whole life. So yeah, it was horrible. And I never understood how to get out of bed and not be sick. So now it's why I work so hard to have vibrant health because
Yeah.
I can't imagine reverting back to that.
Yeah. So next question, same scale. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel most days now?
9 to 10. And I work for it sometimes, but in general, I can maintain a 9 to 10 most days. And anytime I dip below 9, I have to have a conversation with myself. Like, what did you do? And
Yeah. How
why
does
are
that
we
conversation
backtracking?
go? What did you
I
do?
call them my come to Jesus meetings.
Yeah.
What the F are you doing wrong that you are backsliding? Because we are not going past like an 8. And
Yeah.
so for me, I'm like, pause, recalibrate, then you keep going. Because to me, that's law. I can't go back towards that original template.
Do you
That,
have moments of fear when you're starting to call it backslide a little bit?
oh yeah, 100%. Because to me, to go back to that original broken body, lack of immune system girl is so unfathomable. And it does happen sometimes. I'm a fire. So I will go so far so fast. And then all of a sudden I'll hit a wall. This year I got the flu. And I was like, what? You don't get sick anymore. How could you get sick? This is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And so then I have to have those moments with myself where I'm like, well, how's your gut health? How's your sleep? How's your inflammation? Oh, you let it go too far. And so then I do a big recalibration.
And when we don't give our bodies the time to rest that it needs, it tells us, actually, you're going to give me the time I need and I will get it however I have to get it. Right.
Exactly. Exactly. And I hate that lesson. I hate
It's
that
like,
lesson the
darn
most.
it.
I assume Dr. Shivani takes her own fusionary formula products.
Yes, I do. I'm pretty addicted. I take a different dosing. I'm like a high doser of
Yeah.
turmeric. And then when I'm getting sick, I go triple dose. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can't backslide. So yeah,
And
and I
and
love my teas too.
and you can, as you're talking about, sort of outpunt your coverage where you're pushing yourself past the nutritional intake that you're giving yourself. So
Yeah.
when you're having those pep talks with yourself, how do you conquer the fear? How do you handle it?
You know, it's tough. I think nowadays, because we have functional medicine, which I love and I am now studying, we actually can have access to too much data on ourselves. So I have like a binder and I love it. I go to the functional medicine conferences. So I have like 2 DNA tests at any one time, 2 hormone tests, blood work that's like 40 pages long. And so because I'm so obsessed with my health, I get too much data and then I try to optimize for too many things at once. And that never goes well for me because
Well, that
I
can be
just got those
stressful.
results. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're deficient in like 30 things. You have to do this as your full-time job now. And then I'm like, well, I'm supposed to impact the world, so I have to pick one. And I'm always torn between the two because I want to fix my health, but I also want to go teach what I'm going to teach. So to me, it's always like a seesaw where I'm trying to find the middle. And I do at times live in a state of fear because it's almost like I know too much about my health and I know how toxic the world is. And so the honest answer is
Yeah.
it's almost too much awareness in our health space right now about what's
Yep.
bad and what was going on. And so my reckoning with it is I'm going to live my Ayurveda lifestyle. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to drink my teas. I'll optimize for some, but I can't win at perfection. Perfection is never
Just go
attainable.
back to listening to the body. Like, how do you feel? If you feel great, just keep doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I do have a question on turmeric, though. Like, can you take too much of it? And if you do, what
Yes.
happens?
Yes. So we've only studied turmeric up to 8 grams a day. And at 8 grams a day, people started having GI issues. It is a very strong spice. So people started having like diarrhea and things like that.
Okay.
But we know that that's just the safety tolerance for symptoms. We actually don't have a number yet called you just shouldn't take that much. But I usually tell people don't go beyond 2-3 grams a day. There's just no need. It is going to be utilized well by the body. And the contraindication for turmeric is it's a blood thinner. It has a vasodilating effect. So anyone on a blood thinner should not be taking turmeric. That's
Or
usually the
curcumin.
contraindication. Yeah, or curcumin
Okay.
from
Right.
turmeric, especially.
So, final question. We often ask our guests, If you could write a book about your story, what would the name of that story be? I assume that maybe yours would be The Inflammation Code, because you've already written the book, Unlock Your True Healing Potential with the Power of Ayurvedic Super Spices and Elemental Design. So instead, I'll ask you, looking back at your own rock bottom moment, what would you tell yourself then? Like if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would that be?
I would say there's always hope. Stay your optimistic self. You will reverse this and you will win at your health. You always have the power within you to win. Because back then, I had lost a lot of hope. It was a really rough time. Even in college, I was bedridden a lot and unable to get out of bed. So to live this life now and get to look and feel this good, I'm always grateful. I'm like, dang, am I lucky I get to live this life now. So I would just give that girl hope and optimism that she'll come out of this and turn it all around and then get to teach it to the world, which is the greatest gift.
That's beautiful. I love it.
I have goosebumps.
Thank you so much for all you are doing out there. I have learned a lot on this episode. I hope that our audience has also learned a lot. I'm sure they have. And I can't wait to read your book and try the tea and get my hands on some turmeric.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. And thank you guys for all that you do.
Thank you. Dr. Shivani, thank you for being on the Rock Bottom podcast today.
This episode of the Rock Bottom Podcast is brought to you by Jigsaw Health, a family-owned, Arizona-based nutritional supplement company. Every formula is made with clean ingredients that are third-party tested to ensure that what's on the label is in the bottle and nothing else. Learn more at jigsawhealth.com.
Do you have a health horror story? We're always looking for stories that will inspire others, so please use the link in the description to apply to be on our show. Finally, if this episode resonated with you, then please like and subscribe. It really helps others to find our show, and we want to help spread the word. New episodes drop every other Wednesday, so thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next show.